what I always ask myself is, how does my energy feel around this person?
Mm-hmm.
Do I feel contracted? Like I have to show up a certain way?
We like see someone or we know of someone and we're like, oh my gosh, that person seems so cool. I want to be their friend.
It's the point of there's relationships in your life and there's boundaries. Boundaries are meant to keep people in your life, not push people away.
One of the things that keeps people alive the longest, it's not nutrition, it's not anything, it's friendships.
Where do you guys think is the best place to find friends? Or how? How do we find friends? Hello and welcome. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, totally fine. We are here in the mountains, and I will post behind the scenes of how the heck we set this thing up because it was a lot of work, wasn't it?
It was an adventure.
That's
Yeah.
all asthma attacks later.
Asthma attacks. We had to go down a literal cliff, but if you are on video, you will know why we did that. It's so beautiful out here. As I was sitting and pondering this episode, obviously I looked at the answers that you guys had on what you wanted us to talk about, and I'm so happy that my sister reposted this to her story, Kinley's Lane, because she had a really good one come in and it's going to be the topic of our episode. So I'm going to read the prompt that we got because I got one almost identical to her prompt, and it was two different people and they both wanted the same thing. So I was like, all right. One said, your journey with finding close female friendships, the highs and lows included. The second one was supported friendship with other women versus competition between women. Very good topics, and I have a lot to say about these. I'm sure you guys also have a lot to say. You know, female friendships for me have been really interesting, and I used to really only have like guy friends growing up. I was really like tomboyish, you know, and I loved my guy friends and I loved my girlfriends, and I really only had like one super close bestie, and other than that, all of my other friends were guys. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's neither here nor there. It's not good or bad. But I definitely did have my run-ins with just friends along the way, especially in junior high and in high school. And we got really close, and then it got really toxic and really bad really fast, and we went our separate ways. And I just want to make a disclaimer, like, there's no hate here, I'm sure for you guys as well. Like, anytime we're talking about any type of friendship we've gone through, I know we all love and care for that person, but it's just in a different way, like from afar, you know? So if anyone listens, we hope you're doing well. No ill intent here.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I want to touch on just the question. We don't have to all answer unless we all have an answer, but how important do you guys think it is to find female friendships and to have friendships?
I feel like we got so lucky having built-in friends that it wasn't until I got older and was an adult that I was like, okay, female friendships are needed. But like,
Yeah.
all growing up, even now, like, we have such a tribe that if someone flies in from the airport, it's like, okay, go down the list, who can pick me up out of the 10 people? And it's like so nice because we're built in and we always rally. But I also think, especially now in this world, it is so important to have female friends that like understand you to your core, because we're in such an image-based world and there's just so much out there, and I feel like finding your true core friends is really needed.
I love that. I totally agree. I had a recent guest, and she was saying the same thing. She was like, my friends and I, like, we go on walks every single morning together. Like, they're just my tribe. And I feel like I've always been a person that has had one friend. Like, it's literally like one close friend at a time, and then I'm like, I'm good, you know? But also just imagining like not having sisters. I still crave this, but like I would desperately crave just a circle of women that love me. There's no jealousy, there's no nothing, like just, yeah, that could rally around me. And I think a lot of women want that as well.
And I know in your episode with Cam, you talked about blue zones. And like one of the things that keeps people alive the longest, it's not nutrition, it's not anything, it's friendships.
Did you hear? Yeah, so when we were at that Christmas party, Dad's Christmas party, John Erickson was talking about the Harvard study. They did a study that lasted, what was it, Ella, like 80 years or
it was
something.
crazy.
It was like one of the longest studies ever. And they did a study about longevity. I wish I could say
Okay.
it better. You say it better.
He was explaining the story, and he talked about how all of the happy things in their life and their connections and their family, and if they felt like their relationships in their life were like deep and true, and they found a connection between the deep and true connections and how long they lived. So it was so interesting.
Like every single one was like the streamline of what was for sure a thing was how many really amazing friendships or relationships you have in your life is like basically how healthy and happy you are.
Well, I feel like I could talk about just deep connections, and like I crave like deep connections.
Me
And
too.
like I can't fake it. I can't be a fake person. And it drains me so much to like try and put on a mask and try and live in that world of like, I need to like be this person to be liked. I need to act this way. I need to think this topic is funny. I need to be entertained by these topics. Like, and I try and I still try. And it's hard because it's like you meet new groups, new friends, and you want to fit in. That's like the point of like life is to make connections. But then when you don't really connect with a group, it's hard on you because you try so hard and it doesn't click. But when you do find the people that do click, it's like so easy. And so like you just feel seen, like so seen, and just so it's effortless in a relationship and with like girl friendships. It's just effortless and it doesn't take all your energy to be with them. Those are the friends that you can be with 24/7, and then you can be like, okay, I'm tired, bye. And there's like no hurt feelings.
Yes.
They're also the friends that you can like see and then not see for 2 months and then see again.
Oh my
true.
gosh.
Like I
yes.
want friendships like that.
I love those friendships.
yeah,
Yes.
where there's no guilt,
There's
there's no box.
There's no expectations.
Yes.
Have you guys ever seen like the posts about like that's gonna be me and my best friend when they're older, and it's two old women and they're so cute. I love them.
No, Ella, I love that you bring that up because I absolutely agree with that. I think this is like a misconception maybe a lot of people had, or maybe this is an unpopular opinion on my part. I don't know, and you guys can let me know. I don't think it's bad to not want to like get close to everyone that wants to like be besties with you. I don't know how to word that in like a better way than that, but I feel like my husband and I are very different in certain ways, which obviously everybody is. And sometimes he's like, hey, well, like, you should, like, keep hanging out with that person and, like, keep doing that. But I'm like, no, like, I like where I'm at with them. Like, there's no hard feelings. I'm seriously so happy with how it is. But, like, I'm okay. You know, like, it's looked at as rude. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
There's something, Kinley and I keep making eye contact because... well, it's something I learned in Kinley's yoga class, which I know you guys have both brought up. And it's the point of there's relationships in your life and there's boundaries. First thought, boundaries are meant to keep people in your life, not push people away. So when you make boundaries, it's supposed to be like, I'm making this because I need it and I want you in my life longer. And so it's just healthy. But second thought is, it was kind of an aha moment when I was taking Kinley's class. And we talked about boundaries, and we talked about yourself as kind of like a house. And when you let someone in your front door, when you let someone in your life, it is exposing like their energy to your energy, and you're just like, you're with each other. And depending on how close you are to that person is where you invite them into your house. There's the front office, and then there's the living
clean room.
Yes. And then there's the living room. And then there's maybe the kitchen where the dishes aren't done. And then there's your bedroom where it's like probably maybe a bomb in your mind or something. And sometimes it's clean, sometimes it's not. And those are the friends that you are comfortable with seeing everything. And those boundaries are just different pathways, different hallways in your house, different doors shut. And not everybody is welcome to every part of your house. And it isn't hard feelings. It's just how life is.
Yeah. And I feel like because I've learned that so many times, like I've learned, I've let people too far into my house. I've over committed to how I show up in this relationship or this friendship. And now I'm trying to set boundaries and they're in the bedroom and I'm trying to scoot them out to the living room. And like, that's so much harder than just setting it up front. I mean, I am balancing this all the time, like people wanting to hang out and I'm like, what I always ask myself is, how does my energy feel around this person? Do I feel contracted? Like I have to show up a certain way, kind of more in a box, or not say this or not say that? Or do I feel more expansive, like laughing and happy-go-lucky and like I want to just go play, you know.
From a super early age, I had some really hard things happen in junior high and some friends that were not so good and people that were just not so good around me. I think I did learn that really early on, is to like set boundaries very upfront, because I really did have like pretty crappy situations. But this is a perfect segue into another type of topic that has to do with this. Now, sometimes, because of those experiences, I have gotten way too closed off, where I won't open myself up. And Whitney, our other sister, has talked about this as well, especially with women. I got really like kind of closed off to women friendships, and I just was, like I wouldn't let anybody in, and that's not cool either. Like that's not good either. And so now I'm like coming back out of my shell, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like I'm safe. It's okay. I want my women around me and I want my circle of people, you know, but I do think sometimes we get like very closed off because of like one instance, and then it's really hard to open yourself back up again.
What's
Open
helped you?
that door again, yeah.
I'm curious what's helped you like open the door.
That's a good question. I really took alone time for a while, where I was just, I'm almost like too okay with being alone now. And it was just like a lot of introspection, is that the word? Where then when I would hang out with women again and they were really cool and I knew they were cool, I would come home from that and I just realized that my energy had shifted and I missed that. And I don't know what necessarily helped me besides just exactly what you said, like noticing how I was feeling around those people when I came home. And I'm like, oh, I haven't felt that in a while, or I haven't laughed with my friends like that in a while, or and then
that energized me.
Energized me, absolutely. And
I just think it's kind of interesting because when you're talking about like having just like issues with some girlfriends when you're younger, I'm in that stage right now, and I have some friends that I found that I'm like, you're going to be staying in my house for a very long time, if you like it or not. But also, I also get like this sense of girls have this almost, not competition, but this competition of like, they walk into a room, say you're going into a store, you see a girl and you're like, she's so pretty. You look at her and sometimes there's two types of girls. Sometimes there's more, but there's two types. One looks at you and smiles. The other looks at you up and down and judges. It's just very like women almost, not to say in this day and age because I'm only 17, but like in this day and age I feel like sometimes we're really pit against each other and it's hard to find those friendships that are gonna stay with you.
And friendships change too. Like I think about how I have a best friend, childhood best friend. Her name's Mandy. You all know her. And I met her when I was 1. And we lived in the neighborhood till I was 11, and we are still friends 19 years later. And I love her, and we have gone through phases in our relationship of just when we're close, when we lived next door to each other, versus now I live up in Logan, far away, and I see her every few months, or sometimes when I'm home I see her more than that. But it's hard, it goes through waves. But then I would say I have like other like close best friends. And like Natalie, you guys know Natalie. And she is so close to the family. And then like Savannah is such a close friend, and she's my first freshman year roommate. It's just beautiful, the relationships I have with them. These are the people I've chose to grow with, instead of we don't get stunted with each other. When we are going on different paths, we just kind of let it flow until we're back together, and it's like, it's great. Like, so best friends come and go, but like who is meant to stick around will stick around.
And I love that like you didn't stop at one best friend and then say this is it, I can't have any more friends. It's like I feel like each friend brings out different parts in us. It's like the belief that our husband or our person is supposed to be our everything, and it's like people bring out different parts of you because they're a different person. And so don't close yourself off to just one best friend or one friend when you could have so many different types of versions of you. Like I have my friends I go sexy dancing with. I have my friends I get naked in rivers with. But I have my friends I go and meditate with, you know?
Yeah. I really like that. Do you guys think it is rude to not want to be friends with someone?
I mean, that question is a lifelong question because I feel like at least I feel rude.
Yeah.
If I'm not.
Holy crap, I'm sorry.
I feel rude if I'm not friends with everyone, but at the same time, that's hard. It's hard to say no to people, but it's also like the ultimate practice. What I always say when people ask, like, do you want to get together? Do you want to get together? And I don't have the space to get together, I say just that. I don't have the capacity right now to go to lunch with people, but maybe later.
I like that because, yeah, it's like even my friends I love to death, there's been 1 or 2 times that I'm like, girl, I'm just so tired. And I still feel so much guilt, like so much. And I'm like, why? I'm tired. Like I should, and also like that friend should be okay with me saying that I'm tired.
And you'll know when you speak truth, when you speak your truth, you'll see if getting all chakras, like throat comes before third eye. So when you speak from your heart, your truth of how you really feel in your body, then you see very clearly how people respond to you.
And if they're going to respect that or not.
And if they're not going to respect that, they're not really meant to be your friend. Or maybe they need to relearn boundaries.
I like that. Where do you guys think is the best place to find friends? Or how? How do we find friends?
Oh, I think that's such a good question. I would say go to where you want to be and you'll meet the people like you. You'll meet your people.
I agree.
And not try and go to like, don't go where the people are. Go where you want to be and your people will be there. I feel like when you meet new groups of friends, if you're showing up as your 100% self, that's how they are going to see you. And I was just talking to a girlfriend the other day, and we were talking about how it's so hard to be fake. Like, and if you show up fake and people fall in love with the fake version of you, then what happens when you don't have the energy to put on your mask?
I love that.
And if you show up fake in relationships and someone falls in love with you for your version that you put out there, and then one day they see you, and that hurts that they aren't in love with your version of you. Like, they're not in love with you because you put out that other version. So
I like that.
Yeah, my answer is the same. Like, go places you want to be. I mean, that's how I met Cam. I know he's not my girlfriend, but he's my husband.
Yeah.
Still counts.
And I was going to events that I wanted to go to, like Native American drum circles and yoga classes and campouts. And then I met the earthiest, most perfect person for me because I was going to places that I felt like my cup was being filled.
And it's that cliche saying. It's cliche, but it's so true. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Oh, 100% true.
So it's like, yeah, if you're trying to be more fit or more spiritual or more anything creative, like, go to those places. And it's so hard to go alone. It is hard to go alone.
At first.
Then
it's more enjoyable.
True. You know what? The gym, I totally it's like, I always relate it to the gym, but I also have found a lot of besties at the gym. Okay. And I always go up to them and I'm like, your outfit's cute. What's your name?
And that's the best feeling.
I was going to say besties young and old. Like, I've had jobs, and Kinley and I both worked with an elderly woman. She is such a good soul and just old, like, beautiful, and has so much to offer this world, wise, and I could talk to her for hours. We still go out to lunch with her almost every month, and it's so fun to just go hang out as girls and women.
Yeah, that's almost good advice. Like, have friends that are not just your same age.
And your same look, or your same demographic. Yeah, like, totally.
Yeah, I love that.
Love that. No, I totally feel that. Like, even with my podcast guests, like, I've talked to people older than me for the most part, and I'm like, I love you. You're so cool. Like, you seriously are amazing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do we update our friend circle when we feel like, you just mentioned the top 5 people around you make up who you are. So what about when your top 5 people are not filling your cup?
So hard.
I think it's like, there's a lot of avenues, but it's good because I was going to talk about this. Like, you can also set an example for your friends that maybe don't understand certain things, or maybe they're like going through their own growth journey. You can set that example for them, but also, like, it sounds bad, but it's not. If you are working on yourself and you're growing and you're meeting new people and all these things, like, they're probably going to try and cling on to that, right? So it's almost having that, like, open, candid conversation of being like, hey, like, I love you. I would love for you to come with me on this journey of growth. And this is the type of person I want to be. Like, are you in or are you out? And even a spouse too, you know, like anyone.
It's just the growing together or growing apart. It's like everyone's going to grow in different ways, and some friends are either going to stick with you and want to be on that journey like you're saying, or some are going to have to kind of go away and you'll find your own circle.
Hallie, I completely agree that there will be people in your life that stay and people in your life that you're gonna grow apart from. I actually heard this thing from my therapist.
Shout out.
Shout out my therapist.
not favorite, but and she told me about, it's called, I think, lines of relationships. And it literally made me cry when she told me about it because I was looking at it and somebody came up with this, and it shows 2 lines and all different relationships in your life. So the one that like literally made me cry was about a dog, because it shows you and your line is constant.
Oh, yes,
and then it shows you meet your dog, and it shows their line, and then their line ends, and your line keeps going on without them.
Sad. Oh no.
And I literally like I started to
What's the
cry. I
point
was
of
like,
this?
okay,
Yeah, what is it?
no, okay, listen.
Trying to make us cry on the podcast.
It was so sad, but it shows each relationship, and it shows like one night stand, and it's an ex. You meet one time and you never see them again. Like it's just the one time you guys meet. And then it shows like a mother, and it shows their line, and then it shows your line together, and like a teenage phase where you kind of go away and then like you go closer, and then you continue at some point. And so it like, it's so sad, but it's so beautiful when you look at each of the lines, and it shows like college best friend where you have never even met before, and you're so far apart in the lines, and then you go close, and you're so close for the 4, 5, 6 years, and then you kind of drift apart, and you kind of maybe come back together for a reunion or something, and then you kind of drift apart.
I love that.
And it shows all of the lines of just childhood best friend, and it shows like 12 different ones, and it's beautiful to see all of the different relationships and how it comes and goes in your life, but you're always constant.
You should paint that. We should have a
It is
paint
so
night.
cool.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, I would cry. I would cry.
Microdose and paint.
Kin, you said you had a thought.
I
as
do.
well.
I see it. I have always been like very visual, and I'm calling Tony out because he's that close of a best friend.
Yeah, your best friends will let you call you out.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
When I got divorced, I went through a really hard growth journey, obviously. And I remember being so frustrated with Tony because I felt like I was growing and he was still like the high school version of us. And I was like, you're my best friend. Like, come on, grow with me. But he wasn't in that place. And I remember one time I just saw it so clear that it was like our friendship was a rubber band. And one half the rubber band was being stretched, me. I was growing and growing and growing.
And he was stagnant.
And it got to this point where either he was going to come grow with me, or the rubber band was going to snap. And that was so hard to like accept.
Yeah.
But I found that I kept keeping myself small because I was like, I don't want to lose my friendship with Tony. And so I kept staying just under that like breaking point of like us snapping.
Yeah.
And eventually I did go through the dark night of the soul. I did let go and be like, you know what, like I have to keep growing. And I did. And eventually Tony walked back up that trail and like we're hand in hand again as best friends. But like that rubber band analogy has always stuck with me, that like either it's the whole thing like change the dance that I always talk about.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like either they're going to grow with you or it's going to snap.
Do you want to say
explain
that?
the dance,
Yeah,
yeah.
you should say the
Say it? Okay.
dance.
So,
I think people will appreciate it.
okay, you're going to do it with me?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody.
Do it with us if you're not driving or something.
Take a deep breath.
Ignore my chair.
Okay, deep breath.
The breath's not really part of it, but I just had to add it in. Okay, so third chakra is all about our actions. And it's also about our energy and protecting our energy and who we exchange energy with, who we give our energy to. So totally friendships. Like, who are we exchanging energy with? And say in a friendship, this is your dance. Okay?
She's snapping her fingers.
Yep.
Okay, for the
Swaying
listeners.
side to side, doing a little dance move. And then one day, your friend, they have their own dance move. Hallie, make a dance move that's your dance move. Okay, there's Hallie's dance move.
Ooh.
She's shimmying her shoulders, and I'm snapping side to side. This is our friendship. We dance like this together. You call me always. You set up the dates. I show up. I bring the fun. Cool. This is our dance. And then one day, I decide, this isn't working for me anymore. I don't feel energized by this relationship. I feel more drained or more contracted.
Or this dance.
Yeah, this dance. Something feels off. So I'm going to try to do something new. And so I start doing something new, I'm going to start calling and texting instead of waiting for her, or I'm going to start going and doing things on my own because I'm getting a little codependent here. Maybe I need to start doing things on my own.
She's changing the dance. She's pointing.
Now I'm discoing.
Discoing, yeah.
And I'm doing a different dance move, but Hallie's still doing her dance move.
Mm-hmm.
And Hallie, as my friend, will get to decide. Well, first she'll probably be like, what are you doing? This is our dance. I shimmy, you snap.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, no, something feels like I just need to be doing something different. I'm growing. And so Hallie gets to decide to either pick her own new dance move that goes along with my dance move, which is, swimming.
Which is like, how do I explain that to the viewers? Plugging your nose and doing like the arm wave
Just
thing.
a new dance move.
Yeah.
Or she can decide to stay where she is because she's like, you know what? No, this is my dance. If you're not going to dance with me, then that's it. And
Yeah,
as painful as it is, then that's it.
that's it.
For now.
Mhm.
I feel like it's important to note, like, it's not always final.
Yeah.
It feels final,
and
but
there's
it's not.
kind of that toxic mindset that I feel like a lot of people have of like, oh, if you wrong me, I mean, it kind of depends on what it is and the severity probably, but
sure.
like, oh, if you do this one time, we're done. I'm cutting you out. Just like the whole cut it out. Like I just feel like there's no growth and
Grace.
expansion. There's no grace. Yeah. Like,
Unconditional love
yeah.
with boundaries for yourself,
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as you were teaching that, I had this thought. So, I used to be the friend, and maybe I'm still this friend, but I'm working on it. To all of my friends out there, if you haven't noticed, I'm working on it. I used to be I'd never respond. I never respond.
me
And I
too.
know you guys are all going to understand this.
Are we
'cause
all that same way?
We
Yeah.
literally are all that same way. I don't know what it is, but we are all that same way.
I know what it is.
Okay, you can diagnose after. But I totally went through that phase, and I think it was also to do with closing off. Like, I was like, oh, I had bad friends, like that happened, I just don't really care, I just don't want to put in the work, but I love people, so if they invite me to do things, if they try, then I'll be like, okay, like maybe I should go. But also, I've realized, I'm a really shitty friend. I'm being a really shitty friend, and I love my friends that actually are able to still be my friend and hold space for me and understand that I'm really not that good of a responder, especially now that I like work on my phone. Because it's like I work on my phone, I film on my phone, and then I forget all that stuff. But yeah, there was something to be said of like just the inner work of like, oh, oops. Like I haven't been a good friend. And there was a few people I texted that I was just like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm trying harder. Like, I'm going to try harder. I am actually acknowledging this. And not just like, oh, sorry, like, I forgot, which I still say that. I know I do. But, like, hey. Like, it was actually like a, hey, I'm sorry. That's not cool of me either.
I love that. I need to do that to Tiff.
Name drops.
Because I just never respond to people.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm exactly that way, and I had 2 cousins I actually slept over at my house last night, and they looked at me and went, are you actually going to respond to us now? And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you don't love us. I was like, I do. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like,
Yeah.
so you're telling me that you're going to start texting now? And I was like, I promise, I will start texting you. And I've actually done a lot better than I was. Some of my friends will say that, some won't. But sometimes there are times where, like my best friend, she knows that I just don't have the energy to respond for a certain amount of time, or I just don't want to be on my phone simply just because I don't.
Mhm.
And some friends understand that, and some that are more on the outer circle don't know that about me.
I also really like to, like, if I'm going to respond, I want to respond with my heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not just like a, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I have to respond to this
Exactly.
person.
Exactly.
Or like I'm distracted trying to respond and
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to think about it.
Mhm.
But then it takes me a lot longer to respond to people.
Exactly.
But
That's a great way
yeah.
to explain it.
Also, Brighton, I like what you're saying because I think that we all think we're the main character
Yeah.
because we are all the main character of our own lives. And so to like be like, you know what, I'm also the shitty friend.
It's true.
Mhm.
I'm not just the cool best friend, like not cool, but like I'm not
The
just a
chill
healthy
one,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, we're also the unhealthy one too. We're every
Yeah.
character.
Mhm.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like I almost need to tell my friends that, like, hey, I'm trying, okay? I love you
Yeah.
every so often, because, yeah, but there's the balance, right? We're going back to the balance of like, okay, if I really don't have space to respond,
Mhm.
are they going to be like upset? Are they going to hold it against me? Are they going to confront me when I see them again and be like, oh, well, you didn't, which is, that's
Yeah,
okay if it's
yeah.
coming out of love, but it's like, where is it coming from? You
Yeah.
know, like,
Okay. Well, this is something I wondered if it would come up, but one of my biggest friend breakups, which friend breakups are no joke.
yeah,
They're just as hard as breaking up with a lover. Like,
It's true.
they are so hard. And one of my biggest friend breakups was because I didn't respond in a certain amount of time. And it's because I didn't have the capacity and I didn't even know that I hadn't opened their message. But, there's a
Mm.
balance between answering, but also trying to be the friend that, like, doesn't hold someone to a certain expectation of you need to open my message by this certain
Right
time.
now.
Mhm.
Something I love about my friends right now is we always will text. Like, if it's important, it's like urgent. And we'll send that at the very top of the message.
Mhm.
Like, this is time sensitive. And then it's like, okay,
Yeah,
you
I
know
like
me
that.
enough.
Yeah.
You love me to know how to
Yes,
text
yeah.
me.
Yeah. And is like, and also with that friend, it's like, which it's still on you in a way, but it's not.
Mhm.
It's like, it's the balance. But also, did she communicate, like, you know, hey, I really like it when, you know, you answer me, or like, hey, do you not like me? Or is there something wrong? Or do you just like simply don't answer a lot,
Mhm.
which is okay. But like, just the clarification
Yeah.
of it.
The grace,
Yeah.
the communication, the grace.
Mm-hmm.
Your true friends are going to stay and work through it with you. And I'm at fault in this situation too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally think about my friend breakups as well. And it's funny because like there was one that ended that was like seemingly just out of nowhere. Like it was just a huge blow up. Like
Mhm.
and I still to this day I'm like, I don't even know why it blew up like that. I don't know why she was so mad at me. Like it was just like she is the type of girl to just be like, no, like I'm cutting anyone out of my life that just simply doesn't do the things that
Doesn't
I
fit the-
deem
yeah.
is okay or
Yeah.
whatever. And so we were so close and then simply never talked again, and it was just like we're done. And I was just
It's
like,
hard.
whoa. Like that was a whoa, but it was also an eye opener like, okay, I don't know if I would want a friend that's totally okay with that anyways.
Mm-hmm. I think the hard thing in my situation was I knew from the very beginning of meeting this person, oh, they're talking bad about other people to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. I don't
Mhm.
like to do that. But then it was like, it's okay, you know, just this is when I learned the biggest lesson of the house analogy of, okay, I'm just going to let it slide and we're going to go a little bit further into the house, a little bit further. And then they would tell me more things about other people. And I knew it turned out to be a friendship more based out of fear that if I stop this friendship, then
Oh my
I'm going to
gosh,
be on the
yeah.
flip side of this
Yep.
negative talk. And that my biggest core fear is being judged. And so I was like, well, I'll just stay close. And well, it blew up. And
She probably talked bad about
and
you.
it is what it is. But I walked myself into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I
Yeah.
knew.
It's honestly hard because I feel like all of us have probably gone through this of we like see someone or we know of someone and we're like, oh my gosh, that person seems so cool. I want to be their friend. Like that's like the first thought of like, I want to be their friend. And then you start to notice some things where you're like, oh, that's not what I thought that cool person would be like. And you're like, kind of what Kinley's saying, just the house of where do I kind of put them? You're like, do I want them to even be around the garden of my house? It's just like kind of hard to, I guess, gauge that.
Yeah. I'm thinking, sorry, it's not you. I'm thinking about something that recently happened to me that actually this ties into it as well. Sorry, were you done?
No, you're good,
okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was feeling very good, right? I was just like,
No.
oh, I really want more friends. I'm going to reach out to girls that I've always thought were cool.
Mhm.
And I'm going to message them and just be so outgoing. And like, I'll have moments of that. Oh, sorry, Ella. She's getting smoked by the fire right now. I'll have moments like that where I'm just like, oh, everything's okay. And then I'll kind of like retreat, where even if they answer, I'm like, oh, never mind. Like, it's weird. It's weird. But that's not the point of this.
Almost like imposter syndrome.
Right?
with
Where I'm
friends.
like, never. And then I don't respond again. I'm like, what is wrong with me? But what was funny is like, there was this girl from high school. I've always thought she was cool. Truly, like, always thought she was cool. And we didn't really know each other, but like, kind of through the grapevine, I messaged her and I'm like, hey, if I'm ever in Utah, like, I've always thought you're so cool. All this stuff. And it was over DM, like Instagram. She saw it, like it was seen, and then she didn't answer for like a day, which I thought she wasn't ever gonna answer. After those like 10 hours, I was like, what did
That's
I
so
do?
awkward.
What did I do? That was so embarrassing. But she was nice. She like responded later and was like, yeah, for sure, like let's hang out, whatever. But I was like, wow, I really had a lot of like embarrassment,
Yeah.
like trying to make a new friend.
Mhm.
And she probably just like opened the message and then was like, I want to give this a heartfelt
Yeah.
response. Because that's
Which
me.
I
Open
do.
it and then leave it seen and then like, remember.
Remember.
And I don't remember.
Yep.
Yes, yes. And so I had to sit there and I'm like, okay, so either she's a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. She's seriously so nice, but like,
I told you there's two types of girls.
yeah, like either whatever, like either she just didn't vibe with me and that's totally fine. Or like, yeah, she's doing exactly what I do to other people.
Yeah.
So I need to take a chill
Karma.
pill. Yeah, karma.
Mhm.
Literally karma. So that's interesting too.
Something I like little long ago, but I feel like the way we were raised, I'm so grateful for how many girls are in our family and how much we don't gossip, like
Mhm.
Yeah,
ever.
it's true.
I'm so impressed, like still,
Mm.
and I love it. I love talking to my sisters because our conversations are deep about random things that are just funny or fun or just connecting and talking about each other's day and best, funniest, and worst at the end of the day, and
Mhm.
each person gets to talk about their day. And I feel like mom and dad did a good job of that. It's just like we don't talk about other people's lives.
Amen. There's enough to talk about within our own lives. Like,
Yeah.
mom and dad did so good with that.
Yeah.
Whitney, our
Mhm.
sister, is who in high school, I remember we were doing something and Whitney was adamant. I will not talk bad about people.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I wasn't trying to talk bad about someone
Yeah.
and I was just trying to like say something, she always was like, I will not talk bad about people. But it was so cool being in that high school phase and having someone be so strongly opinionated of I will not do that.
I
Because
remember that.
I didn't do it, but like maybe I did a little,
Yeah.
but I really don't think that much. But then Whitney being so adamant and so clear that like she had that boundary opened my eyes to, oh, I
That's
want
a-
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue into this question. Do you ever think gossiping, right? Gossiping is okay. Like there's an okay scenario where you telling your friend about something that happened or about someone for their sake or for your sake is okay.
Let's call it processing. Because
Yeah.
I don't like the word gossip.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have hard relationships and friendships in the past, and I feel like there were times I needed someone else there to help me process what is going on
Mhm.
and help me know, like, genuinely, am I in the wrong? Should I honestly be apologizing? Or am I overthinking it? Or just, there's so many just different perspectives, and everybody will have their own story. And friendship breakups, like girlfriend breakups, they are hard
Mm-hmm.
and so hard. Again, like just back to that. But I feel like I did have moments where I had other girlfriends where I could talk to them and I'd be like, I don't want to gossip. I don't feel good talking about so and so. And then they'd be like, yes, and like it's okay. What's your intention?
Mhm.
Is your intention to spread all of the bad and to tell everyone in the high school of what they did and how they did it and make up stories that aren't true or are true? Or is it to process your own emotions and story and feeling and get your own story right in your head and how you feel? Sometimes it was, I have to have this hard conversation with my friend and I need another perspective to help me get my thoughts straight before I open up my honest truth to my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, yes, maybe not gossip.
Yeah, I hate the word gossip too, but
Yeah.
at the same time, that's the thing that has got me like in pain so many times is like even when I was previously married, I swung so hard to the side of I don't want him to look bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk bad about him.
That it was almost like
That I was delusional.
yeah,
like
dangerous.
he's trying so hard. It was dangerous. And I'm like, he's
Mhm.
trying so hard to be there. He's trying so hard to heal. And like now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was in such illusion. And same with the friendship breakup that I had, the girlfriend breakup I brought up. One of the people she was talking about was two of my best friends.
Mm.
And they were still hanging out. And then I was like, I held it in even more, even though eventually they got me to talk. My friends are so great. And they're like, you can talk to us. But I was trying to protect everybody else before myself. And I feel like that's when it really hurts you.
Yeah. Because I've totally like gossiped or processed to people. Like, totally, you know? And yet I also believe in not talking bad about people.
Yeah.
So.
It's like talking about myself. I think taking accountability in the whole time you're talking
Mhm.
is different than being like, oh my gosh, they did this. Let's be
Yeah,
against them.
exactly.
Like there's a very different energy to
Yeah.
it.
It's the intention.
Is it about them or is it about you and what you need to
Yeah.
talk about?
It's the ability to be able to be like, hey, if I'm talking about something like that happened to me and being able to like, hey, I did this also. This is my bad.
Mm-hmm.
And also they did
Accountability.
this. It's the processing that we're talking about. I feel like there's two different kinds of either gossip or the processing. And maybe even a little bit of both. But like, I don't know if it's like really bad just setting your intention, I guess.
And doing it with the right people.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
being
Yes.
selective on who you talk to, I think is really important.
Because people
too.
also love that too. And like
Yes.
that's all they live for.
That's
like
what your friendship is based off of. and
yeah.
I always think of it as like a car that doesn't have a key and you're just like hijacking the car and hot wiring the car with the two wires and it's like not an actual friendship.
Connection?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like hot wiring it every time you get together because you're just
Ooh.
needing that
It's
like
the only
that's
thing
so
that
dopamine
you can
hit or
have a
whatever.
conversation about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These other people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. I really like that analogy because I totally see that and there's so much effort into it too.
Mhm. And then every time you get with them, you're like, I'm going to ask the same questions about the same
Mhm.
people because I don't know what else to talk about.
I've had friends
Mhm.
that say like, oh, like I felt like I had to make up drama
Mhm.
to like keep this person in my life. And I was like,
shoot.
okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's so relatable though.
Have you guys
Yeah.
ever seen that meme though? Which this I totally laughed at, like for myself too, because it's like no one's perfect, you know. But there's this meme that's like my favorite thing. No, maybe it was this guy. It was this TikTok of this guy, and he's like, my favorite day. I go get dressed. My friend calls me for a Taco Tuesday. We sit down. We get margaritas. We get
I think I
a
know you're talking
bowl
about
of
just by the voice.
Yeah. He's like, we get a bowl of chips and salsa. She looks at me and she's like, I have so much to tell you. And he's like, that's my favorite setting or my favorite day or like,
Okay,
whatever.
the real question is like, if you're listening to this, what friend jumped in your mind right away?
Yes,
because I
right?
would jump in your mind.
Right. Yeah. I'm just, yeah. Which I'm like, okay, I get that though. Like, I totally get the
Yeah.
energy like he was putting into it, like, or the setting he was like making. Where I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I see. You know, like a topic.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Well, does anyone have anything that you think the audience would like to hear before we dive into kind of the lessons that we learned like last time, like the summary?
I think it really goes back to the beginning of like having safe women. I don't like the word healthy because it's like we're healthy in some ways and we're not healthy in other ways, and that's
All
the
of
truth.
us.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
But do we feel safe around these people? And
Mhm.
having safe women relationships as a woman is so necessary.
Mhm.
And then I also, as I say that, I could just imagine someone listening being like, well, where do I find safe women?
Me too. That's what I'm thinking too.
Mhm.
So maybe let's talk about that for a second.
Where do you find safe women?
I mean, I personally find it at yoga, but not everybody's into yoga.
I
I would
feel
say
like
trust yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like, and no matter where you meet them, it's just, you know, your body knows.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sometimes I feel nauseous or like, I feel like I can't breathe or I feel like I have to keep talking and fill the silence. But when I find those people where I'm like comfortable in silence and comfortable just hanging out. And I see TikToks all the time about like my all-purpose friend. I can call them to like go get drinks or scroll on TikTok.
That's funny.
Or like
I need an
go
all-purpose
skydiving.
friend still. Yeah.
All-purpose friends are the best.
Yeah.
There's also Facebook, and I know that's like kind of cliche, but Facebook does have events.
I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
hot girl walks.
And if you're
That's
daring
awesome.
enough to go, if you're brave enough to go, there's got to be someone there.
Mm-hmm.
At least one person that you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
actually like talking to. And if there's not, cool, then you try again next time.
Or which I would love to do this, I want to host a day event, one day of doing something fun with so many women where everyone can just talk and maybe probably do an activity of some sort and yeah, build that community as well, which I think would be fun. But
I think Brighton is awesome. Reaching out to random people that you're like, you're cool, like I want to learn about you.
Even if they don't respond.
Yeah, even if they don't respond, it's scary. Or even going up to a random person, hi, what's your name? Like
Yeah,
kids do
I did that.
so well.
Mhm.
And like on the playground, you make friends so easy. And some kids won't be as outgoing and some kids will. But
Mhm.
like just sitting back and watching kids play, it's the most wholesome and just like authentic relationships of just like, let's play.
True.
And I think just
Mhm.
going up to women or girls that you think like, you're pretty, like, oh, you're so fun. I love your personality. I love what your interests are the same as mine.
And also not closing off if they couldn't be that for you as
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I think it can start anywhere. Just
Yeah.
opening yourself up,
Yeah.
and if you take the first step, it's up to other people to reciprocate.
That's, yeah.
And other people are wanting friends just as bad as you are,
Yeah.
you know? Okay, so I love ending these episodes with kind of a summary of what we've talked about and some lessons that we have learned along the way. So one of them was don't be too closed off, even if something happens with a friend or something doesn't go your way or you guys aren't friends anymore. Do the inner work as well so you're not jealous or so you don't feel like you're competition to
Or
your friends.
codependence.
Codependency.
yeah,
Another one I put was be an example. So even to those friends that maybe aren't where you want to be, but you want them to be there, but kind of that thing you were talking about with your friendy Tony.
And just if they're not meant to grow with you, maybe it's time to grow apart.
I know we talked about it. It's hard, but I think like the more you can take care of yourself in the grieving process, the better, the shorter the grieving process will be because you're allowing yourself to feel it, and the sooner you'll find your people.
Mm-hmm.
The lines,
The house.
the house,
You're hot wiring the
not
relationship.
hot wiring a
yeah.
friendship with gossip. Yeah, changing your dance. Anybody listening, you can just text us and be friends with us.
True. We're making this
We all
podcast so
need
we can
friends.
get friends.
We all need friends.
But also, if we don't answer, don't be mad.
It's not about you, it's about us.
Yeah. Gosh, please, the audience, if you have anything else you want us to touch on, any topics, any thoughts, any ideas for an episode, please, you can always DM me, my podcast, Brighten Your Day Podcast. Brighton Bridges is my personal Instagram, or any of my sisters that I tag.
Before we end it, can we take like a nice breath
Yeah,
with the people listening and just out here in the crisp air?
absolutely.
Like for everybody? Okay.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Love ya. Woo!